Be good. You talk about bang, bang, Dan. We got Dexter Jackson and Phil Heath right out of the blocks. Phil means business. We all know his story at the Olympia. Got sick at the last minute. Really cost him a few pounds. Phil has come in about 10 pounds heavier than we just saw him at the Olympia. And we're going to see right here, Dan, if Phil has put his mark on this title. And, oh, boy. Oh, man. Look at Phil Heath. Look at that level of muscularity. Wow, this is going to be good.
You said it, Bob. We just caught up with his trainer, Hani Rambat, who said that he was about 226 when he walked on stage for the Olympia prejudging. He's closer to 237, 238, according to Hani, for this prejudging here in Columbus. And we've talked about the 4 guys who could win this contest, Phil, Dexter, Kai, and Branch. And a lot of people have been quick to set Phil Heath aside after what was a fairly disappointing Olympia. He had all sorts of issues, but clearly he's here to remind everyone of what he was a year ago when he was top 3 at his very first Olympia.
Dan, look at Phil Heath. Look at the improvements from the back. If there was any weak point on Phil Heath, and we're really nitpicking, it was his back. He had to get a little bit more thickness, a little bit more width. So let's look at the work ethic from this young champion, Dan, right here. Look at that improvement in that back.
Lat spread.
Dan, you can see the level of conditioning in Phil. Look at the lines in the glutes all the way up. The hamstrings are tight. Look at that. There's not an ounce of fat on this guy, and more importantly, there's not an ounce of water on Phil. And you can see right there, Dan, the improvements are dramatic, obviously, from the back. His arms are obviously going to be the best in the show without question. Look at it, and he's going to be milking that up for the crowd, as you see right there, Dan. Look at that detail and separation in Phil Heath. He's definitely in the hunt.
Abdominal thigh.
Well, if you recall, it was only 2 years ago that he and Dexter went head-to-head here in Columbus. Of course, Dexter got the advantage. He won it. Phil Heath had to settle for second place. And after everything that Phil had to endure at the Olympia, for him to come back here in what appears to be his all-time best condition, we saw him at the Ironman a year ago. We thought that was the best version of Phil Heath that we had seen. Bob, in your mind, have you ever seen a better Phil Heath than the one we're seeing here this afternoon?
No, I think this is #1 for Phil. You can see right there with this most muscular and crab shot, Dan, the level of muscularity.
Thank you, Phil Heath.
Question is does he have the maturity and that graininess that Dexter has? And you're not going to see that until they get next to each other a little bit later on in the prejudging. But you can see, once again, we're 2 for 2.